think like YouTube is such a great way, you know, to spread the message. Like I've been myself, you know, gone on YouTube and watched like lots of programs about Islam and Ahmadiyya as well. And I find, you know, that from that you can have, I mean, it's just global, you know, reaching the four corners of the earth. I mean, I think everyone uses YouTube now. You can get it on your phones. So it's like a great way to connect with people and try and get the message across. If you can't do it, you know, verbally, they can see it through video.
Okay. All right, okay, we had a hand raised here at the front as well.
I think as a lot of people even have their own home pages, they can put the link of, for example, Al-Islam and consider people to go on it and have a look on the our Jamaat's page and get tarbiyat. I mean, every country actually has its own homepage from the Jamaat. As for example, Germany has it, or America has its own. So I mean, if for example German people don't know that much English, they can consider them to go on there.
Yeah, so there's content for everyone, isn't there? Yeah. Okay. Jahangir, I mean, we've talked about the positive aspects, but we can't ignore that there are negative aspects as well. And it seems that, you know, there's always sort of, whether it's nudity, profanity, violence, there is that elements in the media. So how do we sort of protect ourselves from those influences? Well,
I mean, nobody is saying the contrary. There were so many negative images being projected at all times of the day, and not only on television, but on posters and magazines. Everywhere you look, anything you listen to, there was some poison coming there in some shape or other. But it all depends on the person. As Ahmadis, we have shown that we can live in a society like this without being affected by those things. You can. And we're not the only ones. We do not claim that we're the only moral people around. There are many other people who are very moral, whether they believe in God or not. As far as the moral teaching goes, you could be an atheist and be a very moral person who behaves very well with other people. Right. But it all depends on how you want to live your life. Do you want to be so cheap as to let the media, you know, change you as a person and let you become some kind of, you know, a puppet in their hands, and clay in their hands rather, to let them model you in any way they want? Or do you want to be strong and stand with your values and live your life despite all these negative images? I think people can do that.
Okay. As I said, we grow up in this society, so don't you think there's also a worry that when you see someone just around, you sort of block it out, but some people actually just become immune to it and they don't mind seeing it. It doesn't really affect them. They're not as shocked by this. So don't you think that's quite worrying as well?
Well, it is worrying because, you know, the first step in you losing your sense, your moral compass, is the lack of the shame, according to the Prophet. Once a society loses its shame, shame here means that natural reaction that you first have to seeing something. I mean, the first time you show a child an image of violence, they turn away, they can't handle it. I've seen my own children. The movies come, which my elder children would watch, and the young one happened to drift into the room and a scene came like that. He just was stunned at what is this, and ran away. The same would be true with foul language or filthy images. These things, our first reaction is to push our minds away from these things. So the human body is wired with a conscience. Allah has placed in us to be the moral compass. And we can keep that conscience alive or we can kill it. Once it's killed individually or collectively, then, as the Prophet said, it's going to be rampant evil or immorality in your society, and all kind of things will break loose. And this Pandora's box, in a sense, is unleashed.
Dr. So how would you respond to that? Some people are saying that when these images are around you all the time, you just become immune to it, and how can we get around that?
I agree with this, that risk is clearly there. There has to be a counterbalance. If you're being exposed unilaterally to one side and there is no counterbalance, naturally you're going to get immune to it, and this sense of shame, etc., is gradually going to diminish. But where is the counterbalance? We're fortunate we have that counterbalance. And the more that counterbalance is there, the more you are involved with your spiritual progression within the community, it's a weapon to counteract that. But I agree, without that counterbalance, it's trouble.
Yeah, okay, all right. Let's move to the audience. I mean, we talk about media and technology and everything. There are these influences around, whether it's, you know, celebrity culture or materialisms. How do we sort of deal with these pressures? And do you actually feel these pressures on a day-to-day basis as well? Abdul Rahman, would you like to add a point onto that?
Yeah, sure.
whether it's the media, advertising, even just walking down the road, you see billboards and on TV there's adverts portraying one particular lifestyle or theme. So how do you sort of counteract that?
A lot of the time it's not in your face, it's actually subliminal. So you don't even realize it's happening to you, but it is. So you be playing on your PlayStation, and you're playing Grand Theft Auto, and you're stealing cars and you're shooting people, but it's just a game. But it's not just a game, it's more than that. And it is affecting you subconsciously. And it's probably affecting your younger brothers or your younger sisters and your friends. And your conduct will change. So you have to realize these things. You have to think about everything that you do and try and make the best decisions in life and what to shun and what to embrace.
Okay, let's get one more view as well. How do we deal with all these images getting thrown at us all the time and constantly being bombarded by this? So how do we deal with that, Safiu?
Well, from a recent question that I asked Hazur himself in a recent class, I asked, because I was doing my dissertation in media, I asked, how can Ahmadi Muslims or Muslims as a whole counteract this negative approach from the media and showing Muslims that they're violent and they're fighting this terrorism and stuff like that? Hazur said that because this tool is available to us now, the media, we should use it as well. We should spread the message. We've got MTA. Right. So again, a brother here said that YouTube, obviously MTA is on YouTube as well. So all these tools are available. So I think we've come to a point where we should take advantage of it and sort of drive it in a way where things can improve rather than.
All right. Thanks for you. Jahangir Sahib, turning back to you, earlier on in the previous program, we were talking about university life. A lot of the people here in colleges and university as well. We've talked about moral decline, but let's be realistic. Not everyone is that bad. I don't want to paint a negative picture of everyone. There are some people who do have good moral values, but they're not really interested in faith or religion. So in those situations, how can we actually get them involved in these sort of discussions and bring about some sort of religious aspects in their life?
Well, if people are already moral, then we can't add much onto that, because the moral teachings, as we've said before, they're pretty much similar everywhere, in every religion. And even, like I said, atheist people could also be very moral people. Right. I think that they should be engaged. First of all, I'd like to add on something to what had been said there. Yeah. And it's that we should realize how the media has changed people so much, how have they changed their morals so much. It's by repeating the same thing on and on and on. They keep on saying it, and so eventually the people get affected. So we should be also the good people, not only us but others as well, be giving out good messages again and again and again to counteract to counterbalance, as the word was used a little earlier by one of my colleagues, counterbalance, the effects. I'm sorry, could you repeat the last part?
Well, I was just saying, if people are generally morally good, yes, but they're not religiously minded, how can we
have to, of course, we can engage them by telling them that if you actually couple your moral teachings with spiritual values, then they become really, proper moral values which will stay with you for the rest of your life. And they will also influence other people. That's the strength behind the moral values. Otherwise, the moral values have to bear the brunt of the winds as they come against them. And these are not only winds, you could say they're tornadoes of immorality coming against them. So you need that spiritual force to go with it. But to be able to make people think that they need, to come to spirituality, they have to be shown who God is. And for that, this is the challenge, isn't it? To show that God really is there by giving examples of how he actually speaks to us, how he actually tells us of things to come. All those things which they do not hear of outside.
Okay, all right. Dr. Saab, how can we stay grounded here and keep our own moral beliefs and boundaries as well, and not be affected by the negative images that are around in society?
Again, I would say it goes back to that counterbalance. How much of that counterbalance that you practice in yourself? How spiritual are you? How involved are you? How God-fearing are you? How much of a desire do you actually have to protect yourself? Do you actually want to protect yourself from these influences, or don't you? If you do, you will find those means and those exercises to keep yourself protected.
Okay. As an Nisa, within the Ahmadi Muslim community, we're so lucky that we have guidance of a Khalifa. So how can we make the most of that as well? How can we make sure we bring about all of those instructions that we do get from the Khalifa into our own lives?
Into our own lives and into the lives of our society. which is critical.
Greater society as well, yeah.
Because as they say, if you live on a row of houses and you feel your house is safe, but all the other houses on the row are on fire, and there's only so much they can do to put the fires out, eventually you are in danger.
Right.
And we're referring now to not just saving ourselves, but saving the reality around us, so that we are also protected from that reality creeping into our homes. And in this sense, I'm glad you mentioned this. This is one of the most beautiful methods we have of instructing a society. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent us a man to teach mankind, not just us. He is the Khalifa of Islam. We keep forgetting that perhaps because we love him so much and want to embrace him as our own, but actually he has been sent for all of mankind. Why? Islam was for all of mankind. And so whatever he says, it's not just to show us the moral way and to give us solutions, it's for the world at large, all the countries of the world, all the people of the world. We should be going out and not trying to use our own words, but saying, here is what God's spokesman has said on these issues. And you should listen carefully, because he is like the Noah of the age when the deluge of water was on them and they were going to be drowned unless they entered his ark. Or he was the Moses to help you cross safely across that river. Or he is the Prophet Muhammad to bring you out of that moral decline and decay and lift you to the highest height. The last thing, almost a separate issue, but I'm picking up on what Jahangir has been saying over and over again, that look, there are moral people in society. At first when I answered, I was going to say our scale is negative.
Right.
But I pushed it to positive because I agreed with him. There are good people around.
Yeah.
But they're not always moral people, because morality is linked also to God. This is what the Prophet Messiah said. You only become moral when you put God into your life and do the good things with a consciousness that I'm doing it now for the sake of God. That's the difference between a moral and an animal who just does, wonderful things. So,
Jazakallah for the answer. That's a really nice place to stop, actually. We're going to take a short break. Join us afterwards. We're going to be talking specifically about Islamophobia. What is that term and what does it mean to us? So join us after a short break.
वक्त था वक्त मसीहा न किसी और का वक्त था वक्त मसीहा न किसी और का वक्त मैं न आता तो कोई और ही आया होता मैं न आता तो कोई और ही आया होता जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद अहमदियत जिंदाबाद अहमदियत जिंदाबाद अहमदियत जिंदाबाद अहमदियत जिंदाबाद अहमदियत जिंदाबाद